I got a package, so let's open this baby up and see what we got in there. All right, let's take a look at what we got. We've got the new Naturals, two of their sample packs, and we'll go over the colors, and we will be swatching those today. I really wanted to try some egg tempera, and I didn't want to concoct my own since I'm not sure the smell and the eggs and the whole thing. So I thought I would try a few of the tubes of the Sennelier. And then in here, let's see what we got. I don't remember who I saw with the egg tempera, but it really got me interested. So, and then here we have, I got a few more of the Naturals so that I think I'm only missing one or two of them that didn't really interest me. And a couple of the egg temperas to go with that, so that I had like 8 colors to play with. And let's see, what did I get in here? It's like opening presents. They always wrap so good, and there was no wasted space in this box this time. I mean, that little box was packed with all of these things so well. Oh yeah, I got one white Inktense so that I can put it in my travel kit, because I really wanted to try using it that way. So let me go ahead, get this all organized. I'll make the swatch sheets, and we are totally swatching these new Naturals by Schmincke. I forgot I did want to open the egg tempera up for you. This is totally new to me. New medium, new fun, and it is their 5 base tube set. And then in addition to that, I got the green, a purple, and a brown. So that'll make a nice assemblage. And I'll have a whole separate video of when we're going to play with these, so that they're kind of a little different. So I think it's going to take a little while with those. But these today we are going to take on, and I will section them off on which is in the kits and everything, and we'll swatch them out. We're going to start with the Earth set. To tell you a little bit about these while I start zooming in and getting my brush wet. They are environmentally friendly, vegan, supposedly very light fast. They're supposed to be matte or semi-transparent, so I'm not sure. We'll have to see that. You can use them straight from the tube or diluted, and they say that they're good for watercolors or gouache. So we will see how these come into play here. We'll just get everything all centered up. And I'm going to butcher these names. So the first one is Caledonite. Hopefully I got enough on my brush. My camera, I need a little bit more. My camera kind of stopped working a little bit there. I had to kind of reboot the system. So, you know, you're never sure where you leave off and all that kind of good stuff. The tubes opened really nicely. I only had one semi-explosion with the... And these have a different feeling to them right off the bat. I can tell you that. They, well, at least this one. And I know this is going to sound terrible on how I'm going to describe this, but you know when you have too much, I have a hair in there, too much, like the gum or the binder, and you get a little separation. This color feels like that. So yeah, I would not say that that feels all that spectacular. Now the others could feel completely different, or that's how these could feel. This is totally my first round on these. And I'm trying to not dilute them too much so we can kind of see. All right, this one does not feel as goopy as the last one. This one kind of feels like a kind of a regular yellow ochre, maybe a little heavier. Kind of want to see it in full mass tone, see if it gets any shiny on it or anything. They say you can use these direct out of the tube, which, I mean, you can with gouache, but you can't, like watercolors can get a little weird if you use them straight from the tube. This one is the Levantit Violet, and I know I am really butchering the names. This is a really pretty color. These don't seem, they seem very natural. You know how natural pigments just have a weight to them, but they tend not to have as much like pigment load as like a cobalt. Or artificial pigments, you know, a good fake ultramarine, how it's just so bright and so vivid, and you can tell these are sifted and made a completely different way. Now some of our normal palettes have some of these colors in them, like yellow ochre, but some of these pigments are a little different. Like that's a natural yellow 43, which is kind of unusual. This is a PG 23. And this looks very earth green. And it's called Cancios Earth. And it looks, like I said, very earth green. These are right out of the tube, so I don't know how they're going to re-wet. And this one has that same feeling, kind of like the first one, like there's too much binder to the pigment. And I think that's just the nature of these, the way that they have them. Not quite sure. And they are the same pigments, the PG23 and the PG23, so that could be why. It could be that pigment. But I knew instantly as soon as I started touching that one that it also felt the same way. This is called Green Slate. It looks really pretty in the palette there. PBK 19. And this is a really pretty color. It almost feels, this is going to sound kind of weird, these almost feel like I'm painting with oil paints. Like they have a different smoothness, like a different slip to them. In general, they have a different slip to them than a regular watercolor. And gouache kind of feels like you put it on and it's like there. These don't have that feeling. There's definitely a transparency or a slip to these. Okay, let me get the next 5 lined up. All right, on these colors that you have to buy individually, the yellow, again, was the exploder in the out of the tubes. A little excited to get out of its tube. So this is the Rugen Chalk, PW18. And this makes me think of buff titanium, only it is a A lot more transparent. They're really creamy, but yeah, they have a slickness to it. It really makes me feel like they're like watercolor oils or something. Really kind of different. I'm seeing a lot of streaking in these colors, a lot of streaking. So that could be me, but I'm kind of using it almost full strength, then kind of medium strength, and then really watering down the very end of it. So I'm trying to give it all its different waters. Camara, and this is NO2. Really pretty color. Yeah, these are very streaky. I think you would have to paint with the, I mean, unless they're quite diffused or diluted. It's like this is full strength. I mean, you could paint with it completely different. Yeah, this is a really beautiful color. It kind of reminds me of, oh, let me think. It reminds me of Daniel Smith's quinacridone gold. Wow, I really cannot talk today. I am so sorry, everyone. It's been a stressful week for me. This is like my fun. This is my thing to relax. Playing with especially playing with something new. Red Bolus, PR102. And most of us have a lot of PR102s in our palette. This one looks different. It looks very terracotta. Yeah, if you're looking for regular, like, if you're thinking these are going to be more like watercolor or more like gouache, I don't think they're like either. And that one was a little smoother. Maybe I'm getting the hang of the paints finally. Then we have Dragon's Blood. This is a gorgeous color. Wow. Some of the colors are absolutely fantastic. NR31. When they go on full strength, like they say, I mean, because I looked right on their website, they look streaky and kind of chunky. I don't know if I would do that. Like layering them as heavy as I have on the top portion of these. Now we have Graphite Black, PBK 10. Nice creamy consistency. And this has almost like a blue-green undertone to it. It's really beautiful. I don't know if you can see that on camera. And it's really dark. I would not consider this. I'd say this is the most pigmented one out of the group so far. None of them had pigment problems, except for maybe the very first. It kind of gave me a little bit of green earth. You know how green earth is kind of hard to re-wet? It really had that feeling. Okay, let me clean off the palette again and do the next 5. All right, I got the next 5 lined up. This is the plant lineup of 5 that you can buy. And none of these exploded. And this is called Curcuma NY3. I think I had a tiny bit on my brush. Hold on, let me clean up. Aisle 3. All right. Yeah, all of them are pretty pigmented. That gray was definitely the most saturated one out of the group. And the that first green, it's kind of too bad I used that one first because my first impression was not the best on how it was handling. This one almost has like a dirty yellow feel to it. Next up is Madder Lake, and I just stuck my finger in that. I have a lot of water on these. NR9. And that's what I would expect. And then we have Indigo Fur, NB1. I've seen NB1 come up before. This looks really true and really beautiful. It's leaning green. Very saturated. Feels like that gray did. Having lots and lots of pigment. Still the streakiness. I'm like going with the very tip of my brush to see if I can get all those out of there. And I am pre-mixing it on here with the water to about a creamy consistency. Next is Dryer's Green NY3 NB1. And I'd say this green is definitely better than the other green. And our last up is Still to Grown and NY13. And this one is lovely. All right, let's let those dry up. We'll see what we have when we get them all dry. And I can tell you right now, I have a couple of unfavorites and a couple of favorites. I'll be right back. Well, here they are after about a half an hour, and they're not entirely dry. There is still wet on this Dyer's Green and on the indigo right there. And I thought that was a really long time for about 28 minutes to still have some wet spots. And on some of the where I put down a lot of color, it almost feels like it could take longer to dry. They're dry to the touch, but where they're not completely dry, and they do have a slight sheen on them. Not on all of them, but on some of them. So out of the colors, the Stille de Grand, this Dyer Green, the Indigo, this Carmelia is really, really nice. The Red Blouse is really nice. Dragon's Blood is really nice. This Violet is quite interesting. And the Graphite Black is a really nice black. It has this blue sheen to it. It's not blue, but it has like this undertone to it. Really, really gorgeous. As far as the paints, do I think that they're watercolors? They work with water. Do I think they feel like gouache? Not at all like gouache. They do not have a gouache feeling. They have a creamy kind of slick feeling to them. Kind of like that binder control issue, but not really. They feel like a thinned down oil where they're transparent and really smooth as they wipe across the page. So what do I think? I'm not quite sure what I think. I'll have to play with them some more in the future, and I'm sure I'll make a video, an update video on it. But I thought if you had heard about these and you were interested in them, you'd really want to see the colors and you'd want to get a little feedback. Thank you so much for joining me today. I do really appreciate it. If you find these videos interesting or my color videos, please bop a button below. I would be really thankful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.